Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to show you how to create your first software in Python. We're going to be using the PyWatchKit module. So if you go to this website, pyp.org, just type in PyWatchKit over here, and when it opens, come over to this place where you see pip install PyWatchKit, copy it, then open your command line. Once you've opened your command line, just paste it in there and press enter. So that is going to install the module for you. Or you don't need to go to this website, you can just go to your command line and type pip install PyWatchKit. But we are going to be using this website's documentation. I'm going to be explaining what this module does, and from here we're going to build our own software. I'm going to be taking you from the coding stage to actually deploying our software and turning it into an executable that can run on other systems. So if you come down here, it's just going to here it talks about the installation. If pip install PyWatchKit doesn't work for you, try pip3 install PyWatchKit. So we're going to go into the functions of this library. We're not going to be talking about kits.send WhatsApp image, but the first one we're talking about is kits.send WhatsApp message. Let me zoom in here. Now, what this particular function does is that it accepts the phone number, accepts the message, accepts the hour and the minute, and it's going to send this particular message to the recipient number. So this is this number here is the number you're sending it to. This is the message that you want to send to the recipient number, and this hour and minute is the time that you have set for the message to be delivered. Now, if you come to this right side, you can see that, okay, this is the message, hello there, how are you? It has been sent, and this is the message I was putting. So we're just going to write a program now that does all this. But first, I want you to take note of something. Whatever number you input, it must start with your country's code, number code. Here you can see it has +9. I come from Nigeria, so my own is +234. So make sure when you are inputting this number, it has the country code. So now the next thing I should do is open your editor and create a file, a Python file. I named my own software.py. Now at the end of this tutorial, if you want to get the whole code, you can click the link in the description and you can get code on my GitHub. So I expect that your PyWatchKit would have installed by now. It says requirement already satisfied for me because I already have it installed. Now the next thing you should do is say import. I'm going to import this module. We'll say import PyWatchKit. Okay. Now the first thing that our program is going to be able to do is that it's going to be able to send WhatsApp messages. So I'm going to create a function. I'm going to say def send WhatsApp message. Yes. So after doing this, we'll just come here and check. In documentation, we see that, okay, it accepts the phone number first. Okay, now we're now going to create an input statement that accepts the number, and you can see that it accepts this number in a string. It accepts number in a string. So we're going to create an input statement that collects this number from the user as a string. So we're going to name this. We're going to name a variable called number, and we're going to assign this number to the input statement that collects the phone number. So we're going to say the input statement. Then we would say enter recipient's number. So let's just give it space here because this is going to be running our terminal and I don't want everything to be packed. So now we've written this input statement that accepts the recipient's phone number. Now the next thing that it accepts is the message. So we're just going to create another variable and name it message. I would give it an input statement too. I would say enter message, and we'll just say print. So after number message, what does it now take in next? It takes in the hour and the minute that it wants this message to be sent. Now, at this stage, we are going to do something. I'm going to show you. Let's now assign a variable. We will call it time. No, we'll call it time of, we'll just call it time. And we'll say input. And then we'll say enter time of delivery. Then inside the quotes, inside the brackets, we will now say in format 08,43. Now I'm going to explain what this does. So here we are telling the user to input the particular time that I want this message to send in this format. So by 8 and by maybe 8 a.m. and 8:43 a.m. But how are we actually going to separate this hour and minute? Because if we come to the documentation here, we see that it takes both of them separately. It takes in the hour, then it takes in the minute. Now we'll now come down and say, okay, so how are we going to split this two things together? We're going to use the split tree method. Then we'll now assign a variable and say splitted. We'll call it splitted time is equal to, we'll now say time dot splits. Then in quotes we'll put comma. So I'm just going to explain what this line does here. What this line does is that after we've already entered the time that we want our message to be delivered, let's say we entered this 08,43. It's now going to come to this line and it's going to split this 08 and 43 into two items because of this comma here. What we're telling is that split these two items using this comma. So now there are going to be two items. There are going to be 08 and there are going to be 43. But we can't just, there's no way for us to actually access these values yet. But we're going to be able to access them using indexing. So what we'll do is that we're going to declare a variable. We'll say hour is equal to int. I'm going to explain this, just follow me. We're going to say in splitted time. In splitted time, then square bracket 0. So what does this particular line do? I'll explain what this line does now. So this variable hour, it's going to first of all convert what we inputted here into a, it's going to convert what we inputted here into an integer. Because if we come to documentation, we see that it accepts this hour as an integer, not a string. If it's a string, it won't work. It will throw an error. So what we should do is that, what we are going to do is that we are now going to first convert it into an integer. That is why it's inside this integer parenthesis. And the next thing we are going to do is that we are going to access the first value, which is the hour, using indexing. Now we're going to access it using this splitted time, then in square bracket 0. Because if you remember what I said earlier, it splits this 08 and 43 into two items. The first item is 08, the second item is 43. Now the way we are going to access these items is through indexing. The 08, it starts from 0, then 1. If you remember from like binary converting to base 10, it starts from like 0, 1, 2, 3. So that is how this one is. This one carries the index of 0, this one carries the index of 1. So now we've done for hour. Now let's do for minutes. I'm going to say minutes is equal to int. We're going to convert it to an integer too. We'll say splitted time. We'll say splitted time, then in square brackets we'll say 1. Now we have created two variables. This is for the hour, this is for the minute. This one, as usual, is converts the minutes here into an integer. After converting into an integer, it's now we now use indexing to actually pick what number we're converting to an integer, which is this 43. So now we've already assigned this 08 to this hour variable and this 43 to this minutes variable. So the next thing that we will do is we're not going to say hi what kids dot send what message. Then inside this bracket we're not going to pass in everything. Now if we come to the documentation, we see that this person didn't actually create user inputs. He just put everything inside like that. But no, we wanted a situation where there's actually a user interface where the person can interact with it. So now the first thing that it takes in is the number. So we'll come down here and then put in the number variable, which is here. So we'll say number, then we'll put a comma and space. Then if we come back to the documentation, we'll see that okay, the next thing is the message. Actually, let's remove the space. The next thing is, you see that the next thing that it takes in is the message. So we'll say message and we'll say comma. Then if you go now, we'll see the next thing that it takes in is the hour, then the minute. So let's do that. The next thing it takes in is the hour. So we'll say comma hour, comma minutes. So yes, we have written the code for sending a WhatsApp message inside this particular function. Okay, WH, sorry, I made a mistake here. So yeah, we have written the code inside this function and send a WhatsApp message. Now let's now move on to the next function. That's this this thing module can do. Now the next thing is kids.play play on YouTube. Now this is a an abbreviation. This ONYT, kids.play on YouTube. What this function does is that it takes in a particular name, a particular string, name of any video, and then once you input it, it's going to go to YouTube, then search for that particular video. If we see here in this documentation, what the person did was he first imported PyWaz kids as kids, then he did kids.play on YouTube, then inside the parentheses he put shape of you. So this now went directly to YouTube and played the shape of you video by Ed Sheeran. So we're going to do something exactly like this, but it's going to be able to request from the user what he or she wants to search for. So the next function is we're going to declare a new function, and we're going to call this function def search on YouTube. I'll just do that, and yes. Now if you notice that I haven't called this function yet. The first thing that we're doing is that we're going to write all the functions, then we're now going to use a condition now to request from the person what operation he or she wants to perform. Then based on the inputs, the program is now going to call whatever function the person whatever function that has the functionality of what the person wants to do. So now we've declared a function, we've defined search on YouTube. If we now come to documentation, we see that okay, this thing accepts just one parameter, and that is the name of the video you are searching for on YouTube. So that is pretty simple. We're just going to define an input statement. We'll give a variable I'll name it search. We'll say search is equals to inputs, and we'll say what are you searching, or what do you want to search for? Sorry, what do you want to search for on YouTube? So we'll just put colon and enter. So now we've already written an input statement of what do you want to search for on YouTube. If we now come to our documentation, we see that before the program could go to YouTube and search for it, the person had to do kids.play on YouTube, then in parentheses shape of you. So we're going to do the exact same thing. I'm going to say hi what kids dot play on YouTube. So inside the parentheses, we're going to pass in this variable that we've put here, search. So what this does is that it's going to, after we've already entered what we want to search for, the video we want to search for on YouTube, it's now going to pass it into this line of code here. Then it's going to go to YouTube and search for that particular video. Now we need to now move on to the next function that this module can do. Yeah, you can see the person search for shape of you song and it's brought it out. So yeah, the next thing that this module can do is that you can do kids.search. What this does is that it takes in a string and you can search for that particular string on Google. So let's say, yeah, as you can see now, this person did kids.search Python, and what this did is that it automatically opened Chrome and searched for Python on Chrome without the person having to go to Chrome and type in Python. It automatically opened Chrome and searched for Python. So this is the usage, kids.search. So we're now going to create a new function. We're going to say def. We'll call this search on Google. Search on Google. I'll put our parentheses, then colon. Then as usual, it's going to take in an input from the user saying search. What do you want to search for on Google? So I'm just going to copy this line over here, Control C, and I'm going to do Control V, and I'll change this YouTube to Google. I'll say Google. So yes, now we've declared a variable of what do you want to search for on Google. Now let's go back to our documentation and see. So we can see that, okay, to actually search, we need to do pywatskit.search. Now the person is using kit.search because he imported pywatskit as kit. So if we imported pywatskit as kit, we would have done kit.search. But since we didn't do that, so we're saying pywatskit.search. Now we see that the person uses the .search, then in parentheses inputs then in parentheses takes in what the person wants to search for. So that is exactly what we would do. We would say pywatskit.search. Then inside our parentheses we put search. Okay, let's change this to search Google, since we already have one search here. So we'll change the variable to Google. Yes. So this search on YouTube does the exact same thing as search on Google, only that this particular function is going to search for whatever we want on Google, while this is going to search for the video on YouTube. So we're going to move on to the next functionality. So the next thing the module can do is kids.info. Now what kids.info does is that kids.info is almost like kids.search. In kids.search, you can see it opens Google Chrome and searches for it. But kids.info, what it does is that whatever we search for is going to print it out in the terminal of where we are working in. So let's say if you run this particular code now, kids.info, Python programming language, it's going to print out the result inside the terminal. So as you can see, the person did import pywatskit as kids and kids.info, Python programming language. Then when he ran it, it's printed out Python is an interpreted high-level general purpose, blah, 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 blah. It's printed out what Python programming language is. So this one just prints like a summary. It doesn't print like everything, unlike this one that goes to Google and gives us web pages that we can visit. This one just prints out what this thing is about, like a summary. So we're going to do kids.info now. But first, as usual, we need to create a function and create a variable that has an input statement. So we'll say def info. We'll say def search info. I'm bad at naming things, I'm sorry. So we'll say the search info. Then we'll now create a variable. I'll just copy this and I'll paste it here, and I'm going to change this to I'll just say info, and I'll leave that as a variable, and I'll just say what do you want to search for as the input statement. So after doing that, We're going to say pywhat kits, pywhat what kits dot info, and then inside the parentheses we'll just pass in info. So whatever we input here is going to search for it, then print it out in the terminal. Now when we're done, we're going to run everything and we'll see how well it works. So let's check for the next functionality. Does it have any other thing? Then it has .ascii arts. All this one is it's not really needed. It's not something that is compulsory. So now we've written the functions. We've written how many functions? We've written 1, 2, 3, 4. We've written 4 functions now. But these functions won't actually do anything unless we call them. So I'm going to create a variable now. And this variable is going to be asking the person, what operation do you want to perform? So we'll say operation. We'll name it operation is equals to. Then we'll say input, give an input statement. Then we'll ask the user, what operation? Oh, sorry. Peration. What operation do you want to perform? Now, we are going to now throw in a condition now that based on what the person has inputted, call one of these functions. So now what we'll do is that we're going to say if operation is equal to send WhatsApp message, then we'll put colon, then we'll now call this function send WhatsApp message. So we would say send WhatsApp message and we will call it. So what it does is that if what the person inputs is send WhatsApp message, it's now going to call this function and it's going to run all the code inside that function. So let me just instead of having to type send WhatsApp message, let me just make it easier. We'll say if operation equals send WhatsApp message or operation is equal to, we'll just give it an abbreviation, send WhatsApp message, SWM. And it's now going to call this function. Now we'll now say else if, let's say the next function that we wrote. The next function that we wrote makes a search on YouTube. We'll now say else if operation is equal to YouTube search or operation is equal to YS, which stands for YouTube search. Okay. The mistake is here. Okay, I've seen it. I'm supposed to put a quote here. Or operation is equal to YouTube search, YS for short. Then we'll put colon. Then we're going to call that particular function. Now, what did we name the function? We named it search on YouTube. So we'll now call it and say search on YouTube. Now, the next thing that we did is search on Google. That is, we created a function named search on Google, and this is going to search on Google whatever we input here. So we're now going to say else if operation is equal to search on Google or operation is equal to search on Google. Then we'll put colon. We'll now call the function search on Google. Yes. Now the last function I wrote is def search info. So what we will do now is I will now say else if operation operation is equal to let's say, yeah, we'll name this quick search because it's directly prints out what to search for in the terminal. So we'll say quick search or operation. Operation is equal to QS, quick search. Then we'll put colon. Then it's going to, we're now going to call this function, which is search info. Then we would say search info. Voila. Now, there's one last thing that we need to do before we test our program. We need to put this in a while loop so that it can keep asking the user if he or she wants to perform another operation. Now, I'm going to explain it in depth. So the first thing that we'll do is, in a while loop, we'll say create a while loop and say while true. Sorry, this is meant to be a small w. Then we'll put colon. Then after doing that, we're just going to indent everything properly so that Python will stop screaming at us for an indentation error. Why is this thing not okay? So just highlight this and then tab. So that's going to indent everything properly. So I'm now going to say else if operation is equal to quit or operation is equal to end. We're now going to break. We're going to break out of this program and it's going to stop this while loop. So I'm just going to explain everything inside this while loop again. So if you, it's going to ask us what operation do you want to perform. Then based on what we input using conditionals, we called these functions from here. These functions that have some codes inside them. So this is just going to perform whatever we tell it to do. Then if we now, when it now asks us what operation do you want to perform, if we say quit or end, it's going to break out of the loop and it's going to end the program. So that is what it's going to do. It's going to keep asking us what operation do you want to perform because of this while loop. So now we've written all this code. How many lines of code? Compile ASCII on main import. Oh, I didn't do this. Sorry. Yeah. So we've written all this code. Now, how many lines? 63 lines of code. It's left for us to actually now test it to see how well it works. So I'm just going to increase my terminal over here. And let me first clear out this place, CLS. So yeah, now I'm going to run this particular code and it should work. Cross my heart, it should work. So let's run it. And yeah, it's going to just run this program now. Now don't forget, you can get the code in my GitHub. Check for the link in the description below and you will see all the code. Okay, so it's asking us now what operation do you want to perform. Now if I say quick search, QUICK, quick search. Now, mind you, before this can work, you have to be connected to the internet so that it can actually be able to access these things online. So if I say quick search, it's going to ask me, what do you want to search for? My favorite artist is Billie Eilish, so I'm not going to search for Billie Eilish. I'm going to say BILLIE-EILISH. So I'm going to press enter, and it's just going to take a while, not so long, but it's going to search for this particular thing on Google and it's going to print it out. As you can see, it says Billie Eilish, Pirates, Beard O'Connell, born December 16, blah blah blah, is an American. So it prints out everything that it prints out information about Billie Eilish. So as you can see, quick search works. So it's not asking us again, what operation do you want to perform? Now I'm going to say search on Google. search on Google. So I'm going to press enter. And it's going to ask me, what do you want to search for on Google? Again, I'm going to say Billie Eilish. I'm going to press enter. So this is going to open Chrome. As you can see, it opened my Chrome. It's going to open Chrome, then search for Billie Eilish on my Google Chrome. So I don't know, my internet is slow and it's taking a while. I'm just going to say wait. As you can see, the title has changed, Billie Eilish. So as you can see that this code actually works. It searches for Billie Eilish on my Chrome. Now that is very, very nice. You can see that this code works. Oh, she's so beautiful. So now it's asking us again, what operation do you want to perform? Let me say search on YouTube. I will say search on YouTube because that is what we put. Oh, sorry, we need to say YouTube search actually, because it's going to print an error. So we are going to say, what operation do you want to perform? We'll tell it YouTube search. What kind of error is this? Okay, I'm just going to quickly fix this error. Okay, so now we are going to do YouTube search. I'm going to say YouTube search, and then I'm going to press enter. So it asks for what do you want to search on YouTube. I would search for the Proton guy. I would say the Proton guy. Now I'm going to press enter. Watch the magic happen. It's going to open YouTube, and when it opens YouTube, it's now going to look for the most recent video I uploaded on my YouTube channel, and it's going to play that particular video. So it's going to take a while to load because my internet is very slow. So yeah, you get the point basically. So this searches for whatever you type in on YouTube. So I'm just going to minimize for now. Then the last thing that we did, the last thing that we wrote was send WhatsApp message. So I'm just going to bring my phone and make sure I'm connected to the internet so that I can be connected to WhatsApp web. So let's check Chrome again to see. So as you can see, my most recent video was AutoPy to exe, how to convert a Python file to an executable file using this AutoPy to exe module. So now it's about to play the video. So that is what this play on YouTube function does. So I'm just going to close that because it's hanging. So yeah, the next thing that we are now going to do is to send WhatsApp message. So I'm going to say SWM over here in the terminal. Then I'll press enter. It asks for the recipient number. So I'm just going to put in some number there. I would say plus 234. Don't forget plus 234. So 0 8. I'm just going to make sure this number is correct. Yeah. So I've entered a particular number. Now I'm going to press enter. Then it tells us to enter the message I want to send. I would say I am a boy, well, because obviously I'm a boy. And then it's going to ask for enter time of delivery. Now if I check the time, I see that the time is 2:22. So I'm just going to say 02, 23, and I'll press enter. And it says a 4,000. Okay, let me just run this again. I inputted the wrong time. That is why it's saying that. So if I run this again and input the time correctly, it's going to say a message will be sent in so seconds. So now that I've run it again, it's going to say what operation do you want to perform, and I'll say send WhatsApp message. Yeah, so send WhatsApp message, Then it asks for number, yes. Then it asks for message. I would say I am a boy. Okay, sorry. Oh God. I am a boy, and I will press enter, and it's going to ask me for the time. Now I'm going to come over to this place and check for what the time is, and I'm going to say 14,25 or 26. So you see what to say now. It says in 74 seconds WhatsApp web.whatsapp.com will open, and after 20 seconds message will be delivered. So let's just wait for this time. Say in 74 seconds WhatsApp web will open and it's going to deliver this message for us. So now I told you that we are going to convert all our code into an executable file. Now I have a particular video for converting Python files to executable. Now this is going to break down everything I'm going to explain in depth of how to convert a Python file to an executable file. I'm going to leave the link in the description below, or you can click the card that comes up towards the right. Now the card is going to be towards the right, and you can click it and it's going to teach you how to convert a Python file to an executable file, so that you can run a program on other laptops and show your friends that, hey, this is what I did. So now it's going to open soon. 74 seconds is a long time. Wow. If you like this video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe, so that you can help me in the YouTube algorithm. So the message will soon, WhatsApp web will open anytime from now. As you can see, WhatsApp web is loading, but my internet might be very bad. Okay, yeah, it's loading. It's loading. Yes, it's loading. Once WhatsApp web is open, you are going to see that the message is going to have delivered. So just wait for WhatsApp web to open. As you can see, the message just delivered. Now I promise you, I totally did not type this in by myself. I'm very serious. So yeah, as you can see, the message has delivered. Now if we now go back to our code, you are going to see that it has already stopped running because the message has been delivered. So what is this? That it opened WhatsApp web, sent the message, and then voila. Now my mom's going to open this and think I'm weird. So yes, that is all for today. Don't forget, you can get the code in my GitHub. Link is in the description below. Please like, share and subscribe for more content like this. Peace.
Where are you?